Hello, so this is from Stuart Bray's flat mold that's called Cutthroat number 2, and this one's slightly different from Cutthroat number 1 in that it has like more stuff going on. So you can see the tracheal cartilage coming through, you can see fatty tissue texturing, and you can see little severed veins as well. So I like this one a lot because there's a lot of detail in there which would be really hard to sculpt, you know, using sculpt gel or nose putty or whatever you're using. Like, it'd be quite hard to achieve this look without a flat mold, and so I think it's a really good thing to have a flat mold of. And I'll put the link for where you can find these in the description box below. So first of all, without any glue or anything on the piece, I'm going to position it on the neck and see, you know, what placement, where I'm going to place it based on how far the cap plastic extends. And you know, you don't want it going over into the beard hair or down too far into the chest hair, so just working out the placement. And you can see on the back I've put press-aid adhesive and waited for it to dry almost clear. If you struggle to have it dry, I use a little cotton tip, and in like circular motions I'll kind of swirl it around until it's clear. Now first of all, I position the center of the piece, and then I pull out all of the edges, stretching them out so that they're as flat as possible, smoothing out any air bubbles or anything like that. Once you're happy with the glue, once you're happy with the placement, I get a cotton tip soaked in isopropyl alcohol, 99% isopropyl alcohol. And first of all, I'm just going to remove that outer edge, the thicker part, just by lightly putting the isopropyl alcohol near the edge, and it will dissolve it and it will come away. And once that piece is gone, I start smoothing out the edges and blending it down, so that cap plastic will easily blend out with isopropyl alcohol. So I'll start going around the edges, and then I usually come back around for a second or a third go just to make sure it's all completely blended out to my liking, going over problem areas again. So once that's all blended out, I'm going to go in with this Rose Adjuster tone from the Skin Illustrator Flesh Tones palette. I'm going to get a cut-off chip brush, and I'm going to like kind of splatter a very light, a very translucent coating of Rose Adjuster to try and match David's skin tone. And now I'm going in with the black and blue colour mixed together from the Skin Illustrator FX palette to try and copy that stubble tone that's in his skin. I'm using two kinds of spider brushes, a tip brush and the spider brush from Delium Tools Special Effects series. I wasn't happy with how light it was. I wanted a dark colour, try and match the darker stubble, so now I'm using a brush that I'm trying to stipple the colour on, but as you can see it's ending up a bit too dark now rather than too light. So once I'm finished doing this, I'm going to try and adjust that colour so it's not too dark. So I'm going to go back in with a base tone. I think this is a very light, almost too light for his skin tone, kind of light flesh colour. I'm going to splatter over to try and adjust it, and I'm using a sponge as well to try and take back some of that colour. Going in again, you can see the little white splatter across here, trying to lighten up that area and make it look like the stubble sitting underneath the skin. And I'm going to go in with a pink colour because he's freshly shaven, and so there's little kind of pink irritated spots in his skin, so I'm going to try and replicate that using this pointed brush and the Flesh Tones palette. I'm using my finger to dot if the colour comes up too strongly to kind of make it a bit more transparent and soft. And I'm going to go in with a cotton tip soaked in isopropyl alcohol to try and get off all of the splattering that I've done off the inside parts, because I don't want them to be pink or bluish grey or anything. I want them to be the colour that we put the colour that they were out of the mould. Now I'm going in with the Skin Illustrator FX palette, starting off with the aged blood colour, and I'm going into the deepest parts of the wound, which is between the tracheal cartilages, down the centre of the wound and inside those little veins. And once that's done and dried, I'm going to go in again with the blood tone, so the fresher blood tone. I'm going to coat most of it, but I'm going to go right up to the edge of the neck wound. I'm going to leave just select pieces of the fatty tissue, that yellowy fatty colour. And I'm going back in with the aged blood colour again just to deepen the centre and the middle of the severed veins. I'm going to try and work on that skin tone. I still wasn't quite happy, so I'm going to do the same kind of stippling technique with the brush, but this time I'm going to use like a lighter skin tone colour to try and match David's colour and bring in a lighter skin tone so that it more accurately reflects what his skin would look like underneath, because it's a bit too dark still. Once that's done, I'm going to put a sealer over it. I'm using Ben Nye Final Seal, and this will help the blood look more realistic on top of the silicone. And I'm also going to use, this is Scotty's Anti-Shine, because the silicone and the cat plastic have kind of a shiny surface, and so to help it blend into the skin, I'm going to mattify it. Now you can see that the skin tone's pretty good. It matches a lot better now. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to go in with some blood. This is also showing the movement of the silicone piece. It's quite soft and I think it moves quite naturally on the neck. And you can see the tracheal cartilage, it opens and closes when the neck moves, which is nice. And all the skin texturing and detailing in the veins and the fatty tissue and the trachea. It's really nice. It's really detailed. Now to go in with the blood, I'm using my favourite blood, which is Mold Life's Kensington Gore and Aged. I'm going to use the back of a paintbrush because I find that easier to clean up, and just kind of roughly put it all in the centre of the mould. And once that's there, I'm going to use a paper towel or a tissue just to kind of smudge it around and get like a messy finish. And then I'm going to go back in and create some more drips. And for this application, I'm not going to put like a whole lot of blood. I'm going to keep it quite light so that you can really see the piece underneath and all the details in it. So I'm going to put a final layer of drips coming down. And some splatter. I'm going to use one of the splatter brushes just to get a little bit of the finer splatter around the neck as well. So you imagine the veins would spread if you severed the neck. Just going to clean it up a tiny bit, add some messy fingerprints. And then I think we're done. This is a close-up of the details. Yeah, so I really like this flat mould. I love the details in it. I don't think it would be possible for me to get this much details if I tried to make it in sculpt gel or something else. I think even if I tried to sculpt it myself right now, I wouldn't be able to get the fatty texture of the severed veins as realistically as Stuart has, because he's got so much experience sculpting. I think it's just an absolutely beautiful piece.